Welcome to the AmRisc podcast. Join us as we go beyond underwriting to discover more about our people, culture, and history.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to the second episode on the AmRisc podcast. Today we have Brian Reid and Laura Beckmann, and we are going to be discussing the core values of AmRisc. How are you guys doing today?
Doing great.
Good.
Yeah, thanks for taking the time to be here and just help us run through these questions. You know, we have a lot to ask you guys, and we're excited to see what you have to say. So
We're excited to be here.
Well, first of all, thank you for allowing us to do the podcast.
yeah,
For those that are listening or watching, Brian is our CEO and Laura's our COO and President, and they have graciously took time out of their busy schedule to sit down with us today. And we are going to go over what RELII means. So if you guys want to start off and tell us the when, where, how, and why of RELII.
So we decided around 2017 that we needed to develop our own mission statement and core values that was important to the organization. We were going through a lot of just change within the organization and growth, and we felt like it was important. At that time, we also started working with an executive coach, and we had a meeting in Austin to where we really dug in as a management team and sat down and whiteboarded what was important to us. And that is where we came up with our core values and established them. I'll let Brian expand on it, but it was a fun whiteboard exercise to really get us kind of in the mindset of what we were already living in the day-to-day, and then tying a one word to it that the team was in agreement with.
Yeah, I kind of remember it was, I think someone said it, I said it, Dan said it, Laura said it, you know. And Dan Pete was there. That was in 2017. But it was, what are the values that we think we already have? What built us to the point of where we are now as AmRisc?
Yeah.
So it was a lot of fun. Actually, fun was one of the words that got on the board.
Fun.
I remember kind of work hard, play hard was another one. And then we just ended up, I guess, funneling to the RELII values that we came up with.
Yeah. I think that's so true. You guys are, or AmRisc at least is very big on work hard, play hard. And I think that really encourages all the employees to produce well, within the company. I think it's great.
Absolutely. And we played hard there too. We at that meeting we did have some team building with some Lego building competition going on.
Lego.
And also the cocktail.
I won. Oh, we did have a cocktail.
I won that.
Yeah, I did not win the cocktail making. It was horrible.
Oh, you guys made cocktails?
We did.
We did.
We made
It's a
cocktails and
What did you make?
Thing.
Do you remember?
You said it's dangerous.
I made kind of a margarita-ish thing.
Mine was
actually, was that the one that Marcus's team won with the gin fizz?
Yeah, yes, that's right. You didn't win. Marcus's team did, and his was actually theirs didn't taste that great, but his presentation
It looked pretty.
was really really nice.
I think we won the pantyhose pushing ball thing.
Oh yeah, we did. What? Leave it to me to bring everybody together and make them do these really awkward, challenging things. Team building is fun. It's important. But
that is.
It was my drink, and actually Dan was on my team, and it was a lavender lemon drop. It was disgusting.
No?
Really bad.
Okay.
I love
we
a
are
good
not
lemon
cocktail
drop.
making people.
What?
So
Good cocktail drinkers, not makers.
yes, but Legos were our thing. We won the Lego making contest, which was actually really good, and actually a good example of how our core values played out together, because it was, you had to have someone that went and got the instructions and then came back to you and tried to tell you, but they couldn't show you anything. So they had to exactly tell you where to put which Legos, and you eventually built this house or this building that you were trying to anyway, that was looking like the one they were going back and forth trying to describe to you.
That's kind of like
it was good.
How things are working virtually.
Right.
Training people online.
Exactly.
No, click that button. No.
Exactly.
The one above that button. Click that one.
And you're just like left, right above your mouse. I think that's cool.
Were we on the same team?
We might have been. I don't know.
Because I seem to remember winning that one. But
You might have been on my team. I just know. I know my team won.
well, I know we had 3 engineers on the team, and that was complicated.
Yeah.
What's the margin error?
What's the what?
Margin error.
Oh, plus or minus 10%.
Always.
Yeah, but in that one, actually, it had to be perfect.
Yeah.
So there was, one little block that was blue that had to be in a specific spot, and it was very detailed.
Yeah, it was.
It was fun though.
That sounds great.
Yeah. So that was the start of our kind of more organized senior management meetings.
Yeah.
That we would get together and do our strat planning for the next year. And our goal in this one was writing our mission statement, establishing our core values. Yeah. And I guess we can speak to what those core values are.
So I guess before we tell you what they stand for, what RELII stands for, it's spelled RELII. And when Laura was working on the name for Waypoint Wholesale, we were throwing out hundreds of names, and she worked on this, I don't know, for 18 months probably.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I don't know, it was late night texts back and forth, me and John and Laura, and no, I don't like that one. No, okay, that's a cool one. I've already done that. So I made up a word out of the values, and it was RELII. So earlier we were talking about that, and actually it came up later to just create that as the website for our RELII site.
Our internal website. We just decided to name RELII.
So RELII stands for Relationships, Excellence, Leadership, Innovation, and Integrity.
So with that being said, and with you guys having created that and brainstormed together, what do each of these pillars mean to you?
I think relationships, if I start with the R, to me is one of the most important. It's kind of what brings everything together, almost. I think a combination of relationships and leadership, probably. It's you have all the other values, and that's really relationships are how it comes to life,
True.
right? How it's played out. And we are in the relationship business. I mean, I think almost any business could probably say that. I could say that in my interactions with my children. It's a relationship business. Like it's just part of life, and it's very important to just get to know. It's not always just a transaction. It's important to get to know that broker on the other side of the phone as well, and help to solve the issues for the insured and find a good placement for them. It's important to get to know your teammates and how to communicate well with them. And so relationships, to me, I think just comes across all the time in our day to day. It's the one that I probably would identify with the most and find the most relatable to me, because I think it's what brings everything together.
Definitely.
So excellence would be the next one.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I can't remember exactly how we got to that, but I'm sure it was in an excellent manner.
Gadgets.
Really funny. But excellence, we try to do everything we do in an excellent way, and strive to be, as good as we can in the business that we do and that what we run. So excellence was a good fit. Obviously, everyone tries to reach excellence in everything they do. I think we have done a really good job of that. So it's a good one to identify with. I don't think it's my favorite one yet, but it is a good one to identify with.
Definitely.
Sure.
Yeah, and I think one of the points to excellence too is just our results that we deliver for the carriers, and writing a profitable product. We can all tell in today's market, it's there's it's a struggle, and there's many companies that don't have those results. So it's definitely was one of the things on our whiteboard as we were writing, was like our loss ratios and the return to the carriers, and so excellence.
And also the management of the carrier's capacity, which is a big piece of that.
Yeah, well, just from sitting on this end of the table, we guys see your excellence, and it makes us push harder to just one more account today. We can do just one more.
One more.
Definitely.
One more interaction.
That's
just one
good,
more.
and
And
it leads to the next
it does. Yeah.
value. Nice job.
So thank you guys.
So the leadership component, I think, is one that was probably at the top of all of our lists when we put, when we whiteboarded and put things together. It's been a bit difficult, I would say, in a remote environment to still have that. But I think we've still done a very good job bringing everybody together, having that presence, keeping meetings on point, and we continue to get better. But I think one of those key points in being a leader is to build your people. And that was something that was very consistent across the groups as we brainstormed, was just development of your people and their growth, and making sure that we're always building from within and giving people opportunities for growth.
Yeah.
And that really starts with strong leadership at the top, being able to bring those opportunities.
I think you also always have to work on leadership.
Yeah,
Always.
constantly. It's one of those ever-changing, it's a ever-changing thing. So you've just got to always be on top of whatever's next. And it's important how you respond to that.
I think you guys have done a great job on leading by example, especially with new hires coming on. It's kind of just like children. They're like sponges. You soak up what you see, what you hear, what you read. So I think that's great. That leadership, like Brian said, is something you always got to work on.
Yeah,
and
absolutely
plays into everyday life, honestly.
It's a pursuit, and we can all appreciate that. So with the next one being integrity, can you tell us a little bit about that and why I made it on the board?
Sure. Well, without integrity, I don't think you have a whole lot to talk about.
Very
So
true.
true.
To me, integrity is in everything that we do. Our consistency with our carriers, our consistency with our producers, how we, quote, bind, send a policy out. But also, goes to the relationship side as well. You have to be consistent and fair and honest. And I think that integrity shows up in everything we do every day. So that was an easy one, I think, for us. But it's probably the one that I identify most with.
Nice.
I've always liked to be kind of the even keel, not take favorites. There might be favorites out there, but you can't treat them any better than you would the next guy or gal.
That's true.
So integrity is a big part of what we do.
Right on.
And our last pillar being innovation. I feel like our team is always innovating, but I'll let you guys lead that.
Yeah, well, if we think of Shark Tank and how we've come to this AmRisc podcast, that was y'all's brainchild, right? And that goes in that innovation category. I think innovation was kind of always at our core. It's why we're the gorilla in the market, because of
like
the
that.
systems that Brian built, sitting on the floor of an office
An
with a
empty
laptop,
office,
right?
No computer. Yeah.
That's big time.
But it's those systems and that innovative thinking and different ways to do things that ultimately, built the company.
Yeah.
AmRisc was a unique, not unique because it was an MGA, and MGAs existed, but the way that AmRisc came together was a pretty unique way of putting it together, which is multiple carriers all signing on to the same policies. The way we built our underwriting systems were, it was basically, from scratch.
Yeah.
And what was in our heads as underwriters, and we got that into a model, or however you want to call it, but a tool. And it just innovated every day. It was an innovation. I mean, I remember going, of course, Dan was there with us, and we all collectively built everything together. But the risk calc model was kind of my baby. So I would constantly go into Dan and say, hey, do you want to do this or that? And he'd go, yeah, both. So,
Okay.
And then when it came to, tracking data and building our data systems in the back end, that was a couple of years later. It was the same story. It's, hey, do you want to pick up this one or that one? He said, yes. It was never
Sure.
an either or. It was always everything. So
That's awesome.
it's been a lot of fun doing that. So those innovation days of systems and everything continue today.
Yeah.
So right now we're rebuilding, what has been built in the past, and we're freshening it up. And there's a lot of new innovative ideas. The team is a lot bigger. So a lot of that plays into our values as well.
So I noticed how you said that what was different about AmRisc is having multiple carriers sign on to one policy. Now, was that existent back then as well? Or, with MGAs all being out there?
I think we made it up.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Now that is innovative.
That is
There's
so
definitely
innovative.
quota share carriers out
Definitely.
there and shared and layered deals that were out there, but all under one roof. I don't recall ever seeing that before.
That's innovative for sure. I
So
think
we
it's
made
great.
up a couple of forms that basically make it happen, that are attached to our policies today, and
Yeah.
the wording hasn't changed at all. So it was something that was never done, I think.
Cool. That's really cool to hear.
So, what are your hopes for AmRisc under these core values? Where do you see us in 5, 10, 15 years being led by the RELII pillars?
That's a difficult question because I didn't see this podcast the last time someone asked me 3 years ago or something like that.
Yeah.
I think that we will discover what we become, but obviously growth, innovation. I think that being the top of the market and doing our best to stay there with the use of all of our core values is what I would expect. And I mean, some people want to put a premium number, but I don't think that the premium dollars or the revenue would be our ultimate goal. I think the happiness of our employees, the trust that we receive from our carriers and our producers, and I think that reputation is a goal.
Well, with people listening, what would you like to say to the listeners about using these core values from home, whether that be interactions with brokers, agents, or multiple producers, or even their own teammates?
Great question. I think Laura kind of alluded to that with the relationships side
Definitely.
and the leadership side. I think constant communication is always key. From the teammate side, I think that, communication with your team managers within your team and team events outside of being from home or working from home, actually getting together and seeing each other is important. But if you can't do that, then at least, regular meetings and have a little bit of fun, maybe a happy hour. So I think that all of those core values will play into how we function from home. But in reality, we really kind of function the same. And I think some of the success that we've had in the work from home that we have now versus a few years ago play to the fact that the core values are there, and those have helped us with that success.
I want to give a shout out to my old team manager, Anna Barbosa. She was very, very pivotal in leading by example. I can honestly say one thing she said to me that stuck with me with the transition of new teammates and other things, people being hired, she said, take these accounts, make them your own. And that stuck with me because at first I was like, dude, this is a lot of volume. I'm coming in midway. This is a lot. But actually having that ideology of making it my own made me feel comfortable with taking charge of what needed to happen in the account. And that played with leadership and relationship and integrity because you wanted to do the best that you could. You wanted to maintain a relationship with the producer, with whoever was on the account before, and taking leadership, So I just want to give a shout out to her.
Plays into excellence also.
Excellence also,
as well.
I love Anna. She's great.
She's really
Yes,
great.
she is.
She's so
And
funny.
I think as Brian said, the work from home environment, we've been pretty strong at executing that, and I think it's because of that, the core values that we had. I'd say the one that's probably the most challenging is going to be that relationship component until we can, get back in the office a little bit more, seeing one another a little bit more. Same thing with building that relationship with the brokers. You can only do so much through a Zoom a Zoom video and telephone, right? So
I remember those
think
happy hours kind of fell off the map.
Yeah, we
quickly.
started strong with like happy hours in the beginning, and then it was just like, I don't want to have another glass of wine with my webcam. I'm like done having wine with
I don't
my
wanna sit in this
webcam
chair anymore.
This isn't fun anymore. So that, that relationship piece of it is probably the one that'll be the most challenging, I would think. But I think, hopefully we're coming out of it, and we'll build this kind of hybrid world, and that'll be strong. So.
Well, I have to give you both and all of leadership major props, because we pivoted so fast, even before those stay-at-home mandates came out, and just the training and the leadership and the encouragement that we got the entire time. And you have no idea how much those little care packages meant that we would get that would just randomly show up like, oh, they really do like us. Like, it meant so much, because we did have such a strong family-like dynamic here in the office. Yeah. Like, man, I really missed Halloween and Christmas. I've mentioned that before, but those were so fun. And missing out on that was a blow.
Yeah.
And it helped us to maintain and still produce the same, if not better. Right. You know what I mean? You still did really well.
If I were to look at numbers, I think production was higher out of the teams.
And that's kind of counterintuitive, because you think people are at home, they're going to do less, be more distracted. But I think you're not in the office, you're not chit-chatting, you're not getting your 6th cup of coffee just to stretch your legs. You get more done.
Yeah.
Flip side to that is
I'm teasing. It is absolutely a factor.
Moving around as much.
Right.
Which is fine. But I definitely miss people. Mm-hmm. And I think that's kind of what the podcast is for, is to bridge that gap and help with interaction.
Keep the culture strong.
Yep.
And, that's kind of what the care packages and the gifts. It's funny, we refer to them as care packages, because we were all just like, what is happening in the world? And so then when you get this box of goodies, it's like, it is.
Not only that, but like a carefully curated box. You're like, oh my gosh, I actually like this stuff. This is amazing.
So I do have a question. Who finished their puzzle?
Not.
I don't think
that thing is hard.
The white sections were torturous.
Yes,
they're all the same.
I finished it, although I'm a puzzle junkie. I'm a nerd, so
nice.
But I finished it. So for the audience, we had everybody take pictures of their at-home work environment, and then send them in. Yeah. So a little selfie of their work environment. We of course had kids in there and dogs and everything else, and turned it into a puzzle. It was a lot of fun.
That was cool.
But the entire border was white.
Yeah. Yes. So the border was challenging.
You can get the inside with all the photos.
Yeah.
The border was.
That was brutal.
I'm too impatient for puzzles. I get my outline and maybe a corner, and then I'm looking at the rest. I'm like, later, and later never comes.
My challenge is that I usually always have one going, and so it's like always on the table. And with 3 kids, it's the pieces. It's just like, oh no, there's. Don't let it get vacuumed up, and I'm always finding pieces on the floor.
That's awesome.
Well, to wrap this up, we just want to say, when you hear the name Dan Peed, which value comes to mind?
So I'd have to say innovation.
Okay.
Whenever I'm asked about Dan, I always ask which Dan, because he had gone through phases in the 25 years I worked with him. But just from the beginning of starting AmRisc. And we had 3 of us in Houston. Dan took care of the Lloyd's contracts at the time.
Okay.
So he was kind of the contract manager, also, setting up the company, all of the MGA licenses and all that kind of stuff. Tim handled, reporting and RMS and getting all that up and running. And I handled the systems. But Dan, has always been a visionary. Tons of respect for that man and what he built here. But it took all of us.
Yeah.
But I just remember those moments, when I ask this or that, he says yes. But, it was, he didn't know it at the time, but it was, a vision that he had, and it was very innovative. And I would probably put him in that innovation. I could put him in all of them.
Yeah.
But innovation was my experience with him.
Yeah, I'd have to piggyback on that and say innovation would be what I would categorize Dan as well. It was always one to just throw out a ton of ideas and up against the wall, and it's like most of them won't work, but then there's usually one that sticks that's really good and you can run with. And kind of the running joke would always be that we would go by right before you're on your way out to leave the office, and you just want to be saying goodbye or give them an update on something, and then you get stuck in the doorway, and 5 minutes turns into an hour-long conversation, and then you end up with 20 more things to do. And that was kind of the running joke amongst all of us, that it was just like, oh,
You got 5
He would always
minutes?
say, you got 5 minutes, like as you're trying to walk out the door, and it's like, okay, well, then now it's 7:30.
Oh my
and,
God.
like, I've got all these other things to do. So, but that was, that he just, his mind's always going. So he's always coming up with ideas. And it's that I think innovation is definitely the out of the 5, the one that ties the most to Dan.
I think that's a good testament to now look back and see where everything is today. So
Yeah.
it's really encouraging.
Well, thank you both again
Yes.
for taking
thank
time
you.
out of your day and sitting down and recording this podcast
Really enjoyed
with
this.
us. And for our listeners, we have 10 episodes coming out, 2 episodes per pillar, and those will be coming up very shortly. So tune in.